Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to have a discussion that's been a bit long overdue, simply due to, some ongoing matters that we have adjacent to the anniversary, but it's time for us to focus back on Wuthering Waves. And this topic over here is going to be my take on the biggest issue in Wuthering Waves 3.3, and that is, in all honesty, the lack of characters and the lack of things to actually pull on. And there's a lot of issues stemming from the lack of anniversary resonator convenes that we're going to be having in version 3.3, the anniversary that we had last year. And I think the best way for us to break down what's going on over here is to simply just see the context of how these banners worked before. So essentially, you would have the option of selecting up to 5 characters each phase. And with those 5 characters that you had every single phase, well, those were a assortment of older units that maybe had not ran in a while, as well as some of the recent releases. Brant, for example, was released in version 2.1, and then he came back in 2.3 second half. And so it provided a lot of character, or a lot of players, right, the opportunity to have a lot more availability for units like this, especially if you were in the situation, right, where maybe you were skeptical about pulling Brant, then you found out he was good midway through his banner, but you realized you didn't have enough Astrite. Normally, you'd be waiting months for a rerun, right? And when you're waiting months for a rerun and you kind of really want that character, sometimes the wait can be very frustrating for a person. And so having the opportunity to just pull him in as little as 2 version updates, right? Less than 90 days was something that a lot of players could really appreciate and something that a lot of players could really enjoy. Carlotta, for example, right? Releasing in 2.0 and then rerunning in 2.3, Rosia, etc., right? And the same exact thing was going on with their weapons. Another thing about these anniversary banners is that it was one of the first times in actually quite a while that certain 1.0 characters were rerunning 2. For example, right, a unit like Jian has only had reruns in 1.0, 1.3, and then 2.3, and he hasn't really had any since, right? Same exact sort of vibe for like Zhang Liao, Yinlin, so on and so forth. And this is the kind of situation that we're at right now. And it might as well take the time to talk about the sort of like biggest losers when it comes to this situation over here. And that is going to be any player that started playing the game after the first anniversary. Because if you're a player who started playing the game after the first anniversary, let me show you a list of units that you have never, ever been able to pull. This guy. He has not reran since 2.3. This guy, or sorry, this is not a guy. This woman, she has not reran since 2.3. Jinsei has not reran since 2.3. This is a Sentinel Resonator, by the way. Very, very, very lore, well, important. Chang Li, Resident Gooner. She has not reran since 2.3. But you want to know the crazy thing about this character? Her skin released in 2.4. She has not reran a single time since her skin came out. The optics of that are just kind of insane, right? You have a premium skin in the store for the unit. It was released after their most recent rerun, and they haven't rerun since the skin's release in over a year. Isn't that just like kind of fucking absurd once you think about it? Like, why did they even make the skin in the first place? Like, isn't that just like a dumb decision to make a skin for a character that you're never gonna rerun again, and so nobody's ever gonna buy the skin because they don't have the... You guys kind of understand the mindset that I have over here, right? Some could say that Kuro Games is really, really dumb here. I'm inclined to agree a little bit. But I'm also inclined to agree that they're also trying to just not piss off the player base. The same player base that schizoed out like fucking monkeys talking about anniversary banners, freaking out like crazy, calling them the most predatory company ever, because they simply gave players the actually incredible privilege of just being able to pull virtually any character in the game whenever they wanted. Even if the rerun just happened, even if the release just happened, giving you the flexibility to really build your roster in any way you want. These were great. In practice, they were actually amazing. And you'll realize that the complaints for these were mainly made by astroturfers, people that didn't even play the game, that were engaging in some gacha tourism during the anniversary. And during the actual updates, while these banners were running, I didn't see anyone complaining about these at all because they were actually very, very, very good for your account. And really, in any way you wanted to progress it. And so that's just one of the issues with Chang-Li. And so obviously, Jeja falls under that umbrella as well, as does Zhang Liao. But you want to know who the biggest loser of all is? Camellya. And the crazy thing is, this is one of the most popular units in the history of the game. She is genuinely actually, you guys know the Camel meme, right? Was she doing like the little thing, right? They literally make so much promotional media material surrounding her. She has not reran since version 2.2. She has not reran since the patch before the anniversary. Ladies and gentlemen, this is kind of absurd. She's only reran 2 times. Or sorry, she's only reran 1 time. She released in 1.4, reran in 2.2, and she hasn't been seen since. Do you guys want to know a unit who's gotten more reruns than Camellya? You know, released in 2.6, has already gotten 2 reruns. That's more than Camellya. Chisa will be on her 2nd rerun as well. Released in 2.8. Chisa, released in 2.8, reran once in 3.1, is going to be rerunning again in 3.3. Guys, how is it that 2 characters that have, like, released so fucking recently already gotten this many reruns? Sure, Frolova's reran twice as well, but at least she's a patch younger than you know. But still, she's still 2.5. At this point, you gotta be wondering. You gotta be making some questions. How are characters and units that released like 6 fucking patches after Camellya, how have they gotten more reruns? Because this is the reality. Remember I said one of the biggest issues over here is for individuals who started the game after the anniversary? Guys, they have never been able to pull a single one of these characters. And do you want to know what a significant amount of this game is? It's the story. And guess who shows up in the early story of the game for any new player? Yes, motherfuckers, it's these guys. So it's almost like you have all of these old, rare units who will never be on banner again, who are just like showing up in the story, but they're kind of just like cosmetic. And think about it this way. What are the actual chances of any of these individuals deciding to engage in the story quest for these characters, the story quest for all of these designs, right? When they never have a chance to fucking pull anything. It might be time, right? Who knows? It might be time for Wuthering Waves to have like its sort of like equivalent version of Genshin's Chronicle banner. Because there are some individuals out there that actually do want to pull some of these teams, that do want to pull some of these characters. And while the only 2 real meta-relevant units on here are, ironically enough, these are the only 3 that are actually worth pulling. Jeja, so you can build your Carlotta team. Chang-Li, so that you can build a mono fusion team with Lupa and Brant. And oddly enough, the 1.0 release unit, Jian, so you can go build a mono arrow team with him, Yuno, and like a Chikona or something. I'm not even joking, guys. Those are kind of like the only 3 like viable end game 1.x units. Like they will clear the end game and they'll clear it at a good time in their premium teams. Everyone else is kind of like in a bit of a no man's land when it comes to their meta viability. And that's the thing. It's clear that there are some very, very, very big underperformers on the roster. And by underperformers, I'm talking about your Yinlins, your Jinsees, your Jansees, your Zhang Liaos, and for now, your Camelyas. And while these characters are in a state like this, I think Kuro's made a very conscious decision to simply just not rerun them, well, ever again following the first anniversary. The state of them, right? Their weakness, they're kind of like undertuned, underbalanced level of performance. It can't necessarily be a massive issue to a lot of players if you can't pull them. Some could say that these units, pulling them in the present day, is a scam. That's an agreeable opinion. But it doesn't really matter, right? If you can't fucking pull them in the first place. Who cares if something is a scam if it's not on the market? But it kind of just makes you think, what's the point? What's the reason? Is it fully necessary for now to just leave them here, to like not buff them, to not have some adjustments to their kit, and then just introduce them on like a Chronicle Wish banner of some kind? Because I do feel like that would be something that really actually helps out a good chunk of the game, helps out a good chunk of the roster, and of course, gives a lot of these teams more things to play with. Because chances are maybe somebody pulled a unit like Lupa. Somebody pulls a unit like Yuno, who's reran so many times. Somebody pulls a unit like Chakota, who's reran a bunch of times. And guess what? They might realize, hey, after seeing some things, seeing some team cons that can be built, maybe I do want to pull characters like this. And then you just get a couple of pulls out of somebody that you normally would not have gotten pulls from. And the suggestions have been making their rounds, right? The suggestions have been making their ways. Because I've just been talking about characters at this point. There are still a lot of very viable weapons. Not really a lot of them, but there are still some viable weapons over here that have just not seen the light of day ever since the anniversary. Y'all remember this bad boy? Yeah, some people have never had the opportunity to pull this thing. Well, I guess you have because it's on the beginner banner. But at this point, right, knowing that Yinlin has not reran since 2.3, this is the beginner banner in this game. It lets you pull those 1.x characters. This banner over here is straight up easier to access Stringmaster on than anything in the game. And it might become like the new meta to skip Shorekeeper over here and just get Yinlin's weapon instead from this beginner banner. Because guess what? Shorekeeper's going to rerun at some point because you know she's broken. When is Stringmaster going to rerun again? That might be something that people actually should do as a beginner. Go pull Stringmaster and actually skip Shorekeeper. Because Shorekeeper has reran after the anniversary. I think she reran in like 2.5 or something like that. I don't really remember the date. But she reran again after the anniversary and no 1.x unit has gotten close. Yeah, Shorekeeper reran during 2.6. That's insane. Isn't it? Where it might be better for you to prioritize a fucking weapon over a broken character like Shorekeeper because you don't know when this weapon's going to come back. Guys, it is kind of wild. It is kind of unfortunate. But that's what happens when the banner system is designed like this. And so my personal take is, why not have this just be this whole system over here? Maybe you can decide to take Shorekeeper off of it. Who knows? Maybe it's fine to keep her in. Why not just have this be a little bit more readily available? Maybe have it be on like a slight discount as well. And then have this be like a bit of like a dumping grounds for people if they ever have some additional pulls or if they just want to spend some money to, well, try out or play some of the older members of the roster. I don't think that that's too much of a concern, especially with the general power level increases that we've had in the game as a whole, because, well, guess what? It's not like you're going to pull these guys and absolutely, like, fucking break the bank. And Kuro already knows that nobody's fucking pulling them anyways, because they're deciding not to rerun them and they're prioritizing Chisa's third fucking rerun instead. The third fucking rerun in like 5 months. They're prioritizing this shit instead. You gotta do something if you're only gonna have 3 banners in a phase, 2 reruns in a phase every single patch. Because like, bro, right, you still gotta think about the Cantarellas, the Rosias, the Carlottas, all of that. Well, not really, no one's really thinking about Rosia except for like one content creator who has 7 copies. The Galbrainas, the Chuyans, all of these units, right? Are you just gonna increase the number to 3 reruns a half? 3 reruns, 6 banners? Or do you just want to have some sort of home, right? For maybe some of these retirees over here. Kuro's got to make a decision soon. Because in my honest opinion, without having these anniversary convenes, right? Because that's the last time these 1.0 units have been available. Unless people just give up on the 1.x units, unless they just straight up give up on them and then the community's like perfectly fine with them not existing anymore, I hope they have plans when it comes to a new banner, buffs, something like that, because over a year for like 8 units to not have a rerun is quite diabolical. Like 8 fucking units not rerunning for over a year. Isn't that just... I don't think I've ever seen a game take a drastic measure like that before, but that's what's happening in Wuthering Waves. And when all of these other games, the Zenless Zone Zeros, are doing like kit updates, 1.x unit updates, buffs, stuff like that. Honkai Star Rail, I know their buffs are shit, but they're like still buffing anyways too. And then even Genshin Impact has like their Hexen Zirkel shit like that. I mean, let's be real here. Wuthering Waves is falling behind like crazy. in this regard. And while the game is obviously advancing in a lot of different ways, this is a kind of embarrassing point to be losing on, because these designs are great. These designs are frankly amazing. A lot of these characters are some of the most popular ones in the game for a reason. Do you know how many people love Jinxie? Do you know how many people love Chang Li? Bro, the Chang Li mains are crazy. Do you know how many people love Jeju just because she's associated with Carlotta? A lot of people don't give a fuck about her, but because she's Carlotta's best in slot, they love her by proxy. There is a lot of players who greatly appreciate all of the units here that would love the opportunity to dust them off, play them again, maybe even pull copies. But it doesn't seem like Kuro's very confident in the idea that somebody would be incentivized to pick them up again. Maybe a new player, stuff like that. So go for those gameplay buffs, right? Go for like just some gameplay updates. Don't even make their damage too crazy. Some of them do need big damage buffs, but surely we could think of something when we're approaching over a fucking year before anyone's even had a chance to pull on them. And obviously, right, you'll get to solve this retarded issue as well. Bro, like, I actually cannot even understand how you have, out of your 5 skins in the store, 2 of them are for characters that have not rerun in over a year. Bro, you have 5 skins in the store. 2 of these. 2 of them. You can't even... Sure, this definitely means that they should be adding more skins. That is 100% accurate at a baseline. But they're also griefing 40% of the skins they have on sale right now. You can kind of see what's going on. And to me, this is kind of just inexcusable at this point. This kind of seems like either like bad management, lack of prioritization, or something like that. It's just goofy. And I feel like the more noise we raise surrounding this, maybe this is just something that's like not really high on the priority list. And then maybe if more people make a bigger deal out of it, they might have some stuff planned, but they're just, you know, they're like, oh, we gotta go finish Lahai Roy first. Yeah, we need to go focus on Ibeth, the Exo Strider, and Tomb Break and all this shit. Motherfucker, give Zhang Li Yao a Tomb Break. Bro, just update Zhang Li Yao's kit and make him like a Toon Strain DPS. Why the f not? He's a robot. Bro, he's a robot. Why can't he Tomb Break? You know what I mean? They could just get creative with it, right? Add a negative status. Give her Electro Flare. Give this, like, make this guy's, like, dragon consume erosion. I don't know, right? There's so many things that could be done, but not a lot of stuff is getting done. It is what it is. So I'm just hoping that Kuro makes some sort of response soon, and we can just, I don't know, like, actually start getting, like, some more attention on, in my opinion, especially as a day 1 player, one of the most loyal players, right? Some of the coolest units in the game. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.